Hi, it's Len Cameraman from Hero Technical Solutions, and in this video I'm going to show you how to properly set up campaigns integration with Zoho CRM. The reason we want to set this up properly is one, so that our contacts that are in CRM make their way over to campaigns and we can then send our email marketing pieces without having to import and export data. And what I really want to show you is how to set up your lists and segments properly. That's really key in order to be able to send out different emails to different contacts in your list and not just send out the same blast to everybody. So we're going to go through start to finish how to set that up, creating the fields that we need in Zoho CRM in order to segment things, and then setting up the integration with Zoho campaigns and turning on the sync. So I'll take you through that in a demo account that I've got set up here, and then just make sure that you've got everything that you need to do that. So here we go. In Zoho CRM, I am going to add a couple of fields to the contacts in my list. I've just got some test contacts here right now, and let's go into setup, and we are going to add a couple of fields to the contact records. So we'll go into the modules and then to contacts, and then we're going to edit the layout. Now, if you haven't added fields before, feel free to pause this to slow me down a little. I'm going to move along at a clip, assuming you've added custom fields to your records before. So we're going to go ahead and then change the layout and get the fields added that we need here. All right, and so I'm going to add a new section into my layout specifically for the marketing information. So we drag the section from here, and then we're going to call this marketing prefs. And then we can put the fields here that are going to be used to indicate whether someone wants the newsletter, as well as what their primary product is. So I'll drag a checkbox onto the screen, and this is going to be called newsletter. We'll check this off for anyone that should receive our newsletter. And then we'll also grab a pick list, and that's going to contain what the primary product is that will allow us to then segment our contacts into two different segments in Zoho campaigns. So in my example, I may want to have different content go out depending on whether someone's main interest is Zoho CRM or Zoho Creator, the two main products that we do most of our work with. And we're going to map these over to campaigns after, so we can split things up based on this. Because we may want to send a slightly different newsletter out depending on what their interest is, not the same thing to everyone. So I've saved my layout, and then let's go back to the contacts. All right, and then I'm going to go and take a look and see that the fields are there. And then I'm going to just cheat a little bit to populate these with data. So I want to have some good test data. Since I just created the fields, none of those are checked off yet. I'm going to do a mass update so I can turn the newsletter on for 8 of my 10 contacts. All right, and then we'll do the same thing with our primary product field. Okay, so right now I've set it so that 10 of them. And actually, before we do, let's go ahead and create a view. And the view is going to be for our newsletter audience. So now we can see everyone that should be getting the newsletter. And that's going to be based on anyone who has the newsletter field checked off. Okay, so it's selected. And then we'll also base it on making sure that the email opt-out has not been selected. If anyone has opted out of receiving email communications from us, we want to make sure that they don't show up in that list either, so when I'm looking, I get an accurate picture of who is receiving our newsletter. All right, so now that doesn't prevent them from getting emails from us outside of CRM, but that email opt-out does suppress emails going out from Zoho CRM through templates and through the send mail button, and so that is important. I'll also add in the account name here, because I would also like to see that in my list. And then I also want to see what is the primary product they're interested in, just so I can eyeball things. And I'm the only one who needs to see this list, so we'll leave that alone and then go ahead and save it. All right, so now I'm going to set the primary product. Again, I'm just doing this to make up some example data. And in your case, you may have already have an industry or products or whatever you want to segment this on. So it's important that we have the right fields to split things up. So I'm going to set these for Zoho Creator as the primary product. and then we should be good to go. And again, you can base this on whatever fields you want. I'm just using newsletter and primary product as an example, but you can think of the criteria that you want to split up your list. All right, so now I've got all my fields set here. Let's just take a quick look. I've got, actually I'm on the account record here. I just scroll up and get to Brad Smith's record. So this is a contact record, and I can see that, yep, Brad is signed up for the newsletter. Primary product interest is Zoho Creator. All right, so that's set. So the next thing that I'm going to want to do is go ahead and set up Zoho campaigns. Now, I recently changed over my demo account to Zoho One subscription. So I'm going to show you how that works. If you don't know what Zoho One is basically a bundle where you get 30 plus Zoho apps for $30 per month per user if you pay annually, or $35 month to month if you sign up everyone in your company to use Zoho. So that's actually a savings for me. My demo accounts dropped $5 a month just from going to CRM to switch to Zoho One, and then I'm basically getting Zoho campaigns for free. So the accounts that I've got are all set, except I have to add campaigns in yet, so I'll do that. And if you want to find out more about Zoho One, you can click on the link below this video. But I'm going to go in here, and I've got CRM set up already, but I've got to go ahead and add in Zoho campaigns. So I'll click on Add Applications and click on the Add button, and they are categorized. So I'm going to email and collaboration. No, actually, this is under Sales and Marketing. All right, so there's campaigns. I'm going to add it. I'm going to pick my existing campaigns account. I had one before, but now I'm bringing it into my Zoho One subscription. All right, it's going to do its thing. All right, and we're all set there. Okay, so now I can go ahead and get into campaigns and get things set up on that side of things. And it's just going to ask me here to update my company name and phone number now that I've joined it into my Zoho One subscription. And my demo account name is Binford Corporation, and I'll make up a phone number here, 416-111-2222, and click update. And we've got that all set. And then we can move on to setting things up in Zoho campaigns to receive our contacts from CRM. Okay, so now what I want to do in Zoho campaigns is I want to get my contacts from CRM into campaigns. So we'll go ahead and set that up. So we're going to go to the contact section here, and then under list management we're going to create a mailing list. Okay, so there are some important distinctions to make here. When you are setting up your lists, these are basically your lists of people who will make up the audience of the emails that go out. You have lists and you have segments, and you should not think of them interchangeably, even though they may seem that you could use them that way. So a list is a group of contacts, and then a segment further subdivides it. So you could call a segment a sublist, and you have criteria for both of them. So we're going to start by creating a list, and then I'll show you how to set up a segment. Now, this is key. When you create the mailing list, the name that you call this, your contacts will be able to see this. If they go in to manage their subscription, then they're going to see the name of any list that they're subscribed to. So don't call this the cheapskate customer list and say, anyone with no sales or sales under $10. This is something they're going to be able to see. When they get an email, they have an unsubscribe option that will remove them from all lists, but they also have a link that will allow them to manage what list they are subscribed to. So make sure that this is appropriate and customer facing. And I know you wouldn't put anything bad on there anyways, but just to be super clear on that. So I will call this Binford. Okay, now you could come up with something a little bit more exciting than that. Think about, what would you want to call this such that when they are reviewing what they're subscribed to, that they're not going to uncheck all of the boxes. All right, but I'm going to go with this for now because I'm not super creative when I'm putting these videos together. Sometimes I am, but I'm just not thinking of a good list name here. So I'm going to stick with safe and say Binford newsletter list. So now you want to say, are you going to allow people to sign up for this newsletter? Now, in order to do that, you have to put sign up code on your site somewhere, but this is just sort of saying from the campaign side of things, should people be allowed to sign up if I create the form for it? So you can choose whether you want to allow that or not, and then you'll save it and add contacts. Now you could go in here one at a time, add email addresses, first name and last name, and fill all of that in and add contacts that way, but we're going to go ahead and go to sync contacts. All right, so sync isn't set up yet. I'm going to go ahead and add a new sync. Now you will put a sync in place to sync up Zoho CRM with a single list. And you can add multiple syncs to support multiple lists. So for example, I may have a newsletter list, but I may also have a special events and promotions list. So I'm going to add a new sync. And so now let's back up a step here. I have put in a key before. If you haven't set this up previously, let's actually jump over and do that. You'll need to set up your Zoho services key. And we go into settings and then into integrations, you will have an option here to connect Zoho CRM. Now Zoho CRM is going to ask you for the email address for your account as well as what's called the ZSC key. Or if you want to go Canadian like I am, you say the ZSC key. But you're going to click on the connect button, and then from Zoho CRM you can go and get your key. And you're going to click on, I've just jumped over to another tab here with Zoho CRM. You'll go under setup and under developer space, go into APIs, and you're going to see this tab here for Zoho Services Communication Key. Now, I'm not going to click on this and show you mine because then you could integrate your system with my demo system, and I would really prefer that no one does that, but that's where this is. And then you will be able to take that key, go back to Zoho Campaigns under this integrations area within settings, and then click to set up your account. Okay, then once that's done, you'll now be able to set up the sync that we're going to get into. All right, so I'm going to go to contacts, and then I will click on sync contacts, and here's the sync that I'll set up. All right, so we've done the ZSC key bit. You can see that it shows here that it's set up, and then so we're going to call this a description, so I'll call this newsletter list. Now this part doesn't get seen by your customer, so call it whatever is helpful to be to tell you what this is for, and you choose what module are we syncing. So because this integration is with CRM, you can sync with leads and contacts. You can also sync with a number of other Zoho products, including Creator. In our case, we're going to set this up, and we want this to be for specific criteria. So I want our criteria here to simply be that newsletter is true. Okay, and this is really cool. You can also base the criteria on account fields as well as potential fields. So you could create a list of people that have an open deal over $5,000 as an example. And you can also base the criteria on fields that are just at the account level. That goes above and beyond what you can do with CRM as a view. When you create views in CRM, it's based on contact fields. But here we can actually set our criteria up to include account and potential fields if we want. Now notice I'm only splitting this up by the newsletter field so far. I'm not doing anything with the product, with the primary product yet. We'll get to that. Okay, and then here we choose the Binford newsletter list. So what list are we going to sync with? So all the contacts in Zoho CRM where the newsletter is true are going to synchronize with the Binford newsletter list. So I'll hit save and continue here. And then I can map additional fields. So what does that mean? Well, this is going to copy fields over from CRM to campaigns. And out of the box, campaigns has last name, first name, and email. And CRM has those as well. So it will map those over by default. So that's great. So you can say, hi, so-and-so, and put the first name into the emails. But we may also want to add additional fields. The reason we'll want to add additional fields will either be because we want to include the data from those fields in the email. So if you want to have someone's company name in the email, you want to map that over. Or because we want to segment their information, or we want to segment our list. So our primary product field, we want to come over to campaigns so that we can create a segment based on that field. All right, so I'm going to add a field, and so the field that I will take over, I do want the account name from CRM, that's the company, and I'm going to bring that into the company name field. So that's going to get added to my list, and then I will add the primary product field. All right, and here it breaks it down by sections. So under marketing prefs here, we can choose primary product, and that is going to be a new field. And we'll go with the default of primary product and add that, and then we will hit save and continue. Okay, so now it says how often do you want to fetch, how often do you want to get the data from CRM? If this is a single list you're only going to use one time, you can leave it at once. If this is something you're going to use on an ongoing basis, which is my intent here, we want to sync that more often, and so I'm going to set that up to go daily. And then we can go with the default time, which will be now, or we can change this. All right, so we'll go with the default, and then data to be fetched can either be all information, or so all contacts, or only contacts that have been created after a certain date. So we're going to stick with all data because again we want this to be an ongoing list that has everyone from CRM with that newsletter checkmark flagged. And then here you've got some options, and these are a little tricky, so I'm going to explain what they do. Update email opt-outs means that if somebody unsubscribes from campaigns, you want them to be marked as opted out in Zoho CRM. Now think this one through. Most of the time this will make sense if someone unsubscribes, but this also means if they unsubscribe from your newsletter that you won't be able to send them a one-off email from Zoho using a template either. Okay, you can still email them from your email program. It won't prevent you doing that. But if you turn on the opt-out in Zoho CRM will not let you send email out directly through CRM. So decide if you want to do that or not. In my case, I'm going to set that up. And here you can decide if you want to update deleted contacts or not. So do you want to update CRM's deleted contact to already synced contacts in campaigns? So if you delete them out of CRM, do you want them to be deleted out of campaigns as well? I'm going to do that, and then you have two options here. The first option is you leave them in campaigns, but you'll unsubscribe them. The second one is you take them out of campaigns altogether. And I'm going to go ahead and go with that option to remove them. And then what do you do when you're syncing from Zoho CRM to Zoho campaigns? If you check that opt-out box in CRM, do you also want to unsubscribe them from the list? That's a good idea. If somebody says don't contact me anymore and we update in CRM, we want to unsubscribe them. You could also choose to remove them from your list. I'm not going to do that. We'll just mark them as unsubscribed. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and initiate, and that's going to start our sync. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of other options here that we have. Now, that's all I need to get my data humming over from Zoho campaigns, or from CRM rather, to Zoho campaigns. So that's going to allow me to send out my emails to my contacts in CRM. But I may also want some other things to come back to CRM. So let's take a look at that as well. And that's going to be under the campaigns to CRM settings here. All right, so we'll click on that section and then go through the options here. Now, what campaigns will push back are a couple of things. One is that you can have a campaigns record created in CRM. So if you jump over to CRM for a moment and you look at your modules, you'll have a campaigns module, and campaigns are sort of like a holding record for different marketing efforts that you keep track of. If you click on create campaign, out of the box there are a whole bunch of details you can put in. You can put in what your budget is for it, the revenue expected, when it starts and ends. And when you send out an email campaign, you have the option of campaigns creating a campaigns record in Zoho CRM. Okay, now I sort of wish they were named differently because they are two different functions. in CRM, it's really to track detail about any kind of marketing effort and have a list of related contacts. In Zoho Campaigns is email marketing, but it has the option to create the campaigns record for you in CRM. Okay, so if you look at this, by default, that is enabled. And then the update campaign member status in Zoho CRM will show you what happened with the email. And then you can decide as well if you want some of the status, so what's happened with the emails, to come over into Zoho CRM. And if you hover over here, it tells you that it's going to tell you the campaign name and what's happened with it, as well as how many times they've clicked and opened it. So if you want to turn this on, you have the option of having separate settings for both email campaigns, which are one-off pieces, and as well as autoresponders, which are a sequence of emails. So you have different settings for each one. I'm just going to turn this on for email campaigns. And so I will set that, and then you need to choose what you're going to do for contacts versus leads. Okay, what field are you going to put this in? And the reason we have the option of both here is because each of our lists in campaigns can either work with contacts or leads. So it's very possible that in Zoho Campaigns, I'm working with both contact and leads from CRM. So here I'm going to check this, and then I'll note that I don't have a field for this. So what I want to do is go into Zoho CRM and create a multi-line field on the contact record to record the results. So let's jump back into campaigns, go to our setup menu, and simply add a multi-line field to the contacts module. Go to contacts, go to the layout. I'm going to put mine in the marketing prefs section. Campaign results. Okay, and then if I go back in here, I'll probably need to back out of here. Let's cancel this and go back into campaigns of CRM settings, enable that, check contacts, and now I should see campaign results there. Now, if I wanted to also have campaign results come back over for leads, I would do the same thing and set that up. If you use leads, you may want to do that right away so that you're all set here. And then you go ahead and hit save. It's going to tell you that it's going to update the data that's already present there. So don't pick a field that you already have important data in. Best bet's to create a new one for this. Okay, so that's set as well. So when the sync happens, then that information will come back into campaigns as well. And then lastly, you have the ability to push data to Zoho CRM. This isn't one that we'll set up, but just to sort of tell you how this works and what is possible with it. If you have a mailing list that you put into Zoho Campaigns that does not exist in CRM, let's say you've got a mailing list of 500 recipients, you can set this up so that if someone clicks on a link in your email, it will automatically create them as a lead in Zoho CRM, or optionally as a contact, or even as a with a potential attached. Okay, so that might not make a lot of sense if you are already driving this from CRM. But if you have a large list in campaigns and not everybody's in CRM and you don't want them all in CRM, then this is an optional feature that Campaigns has to allow you to do. All right, so we've got that set up. Last thing I want to do is show you how to set up a segment, and then we'll really quickly look at how you use the resulting list and segment to target your emails. All right, so I'm going to go to my list management again. You can see that there are 7 contacts that have come over, and I can pull them up in a list. Now, I'm actually missing one, and I'm curious what the reason is, so I could go take a look at that. For now, I'm okay with this, and we want to see that. Let's see. And I also want to see the primary product in here, so I can make sure that, yeah, that's synced over. That's great. So now I'm going to be able to create my segment. So I'm on the bin for newsletter list. Now let's create a segment. We want to create a variation of our newsletter that will go out to people where they are primarily focused on Zoho Creator. Okay, so that way I could start off with the same template and create a copy of it and then change out a little bit of the content to make it more creator oriented. That's going to make the newsletter more interesting for our creator customers rather than just sending the same thing out to your entire list. That's sending the same newsletter out to your entire list, unless they're all very, very, very similar in their needs, is a great way to get unsubscribes in a hurry. So try not to do that. Try to make sure that your email is relevant, and creating segments can go a long way to do that. So think through the segments you want, and then here is how to set them up. So once you have your data mapped over, which I showed you earlier, in our case we're using primary product. So I'm going to call the segment name creator. This is not shown to the people on your list. The list name is, the criteria is not. And I'm simply going to say that people on this list are where the primary product is Zoho Creator. Okay, and then I'll save that. And then if I click on Show Contacts, you'll see that there are our 4 contacts. And then I'm going to create another segment. Here we go. And I'm going to call this one CRM, and this is where the primary product is Zoho CRM. Now, you don't have to create 2 different segments. If you sometimes you'll want to send to the whole list, and other times just a segment. You could create just the one segment, but in this case, I want to specifically send different things to the 2 different groups. So I've got my segment set up, and I'm good to go. Now, the last thing I'll show you is just where you pick these out. We won't go through all the details of sending an email campaign out, but just if I was going to create one quickly just to show you where the audience comes in here, I'd say click on create an email campaign. I have to put my industry in here, so let's fill that out. And it's also asking me, because this is the first time sending this, I'm going to fill out the company details. We'll put our office address in there. And now the name of this campaign, this is not the subject line, so I'll call this test campaign, and I'll call this Binford monthly newsletter. It will come from Tim Taylor, and it's going to come from tim@binfordcorp.com, so keep going there. And the content, I said we won't spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to put in is our latest news. This is horrible content. Don't send it out like this. Sincerely, Tim. But I just want to get to the point where we're going to show you the audience. So we go to our recipients. Okay, so now here is where I can choose who this goes out to. So I can pick an entire list, or I can just send this out to a segment. So if this email piece that I'm working on is for our creator group, then we'll send this out just to creator. Okay, so that's key to this. So I hope this is helpful. So just to kind of recap what we did, we went into CRM and we made sure that we had the fields ready that we wanted to segment on, and then we set up our integration, including the ZSC key, and then we created a list and set up our sync. All right, so. If you have questions, you can put those into the comments below. But again, I hope this is really helpful, and I hope that you use segments to make your email marketing that much more effective.